Hey, you're here.
Of course, how are you feeling?
Better now that you're here.
I'm not going anywhere. To new beginnings.
And to us.
I wish you were here.
I am, in spirit.
You lied to me.
I had no choice.
There's always a choice.
Not this time.
This decision is reckless. We must reconsider.
The projections are solid. We have to move.
He's right. The risks are too high.
I remember the moment the doctor said it. You're lucky to be alive, Daniel. Lucky. That word echoed in my head as I stood on the hospital balcony, gripping the cold metal railing. Alive didn't feel like luck. Alive felt like pain. My ribs hurt when I breathed. My arm was wrapped in thick bandages. The machines inside the room behind me beeped like slow reminders that my body was still fighting. A nurse pushed the door open behind me. "Mr. Carter," she said gently, "you shouldn't be standing so long." "I'm fine," I muttered. She didn't look convinced. "You lost a lot of blood," she said. "Your family should arrive soon. Try to rest." Family. I almost laughed. "They're coming?" I asked. She smiled kindly. "Of course they are." I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out my phone. 23 notifications. Family group chat. For a second, my chest felt warm. Maybe they were worried. Maybe they were asking about the surgery. I opened the chat. The first message was from my aunt. "Everyone ready? Lucas and Emma are about to walk down the aisle." A photo appeared under the message. Lucas in a black tuxedo, smiling like the king of the world. I scrolled. Another photo. Champagne glasses raised. My sister Sophie laughing beside Lucas. Someone typed, "Best wedding ever." My fingers tightened around the phone. "There at the wedding?" I whispered. Another message appeared. My cousin Jake wrote, "Where's Uncle Robert?" My father replied instantly, talking to the wedding planner. Lucas deserved a perfect day. I stared at the screen. Perfect day. My chest tightened. I typed slowly, "Dad, I'm awake." The message sat there. Seen. No reply. A minute passed. Then two. Then another message appeared in the chat. My Aunt Linda wrote, "The doctor said Daniel probably won't survive." My breath caught. Another message followed. "But Lucas only gets married once. Let's not ruin the mood tonight." My hand started shaking. I reread the words. Again and again. My father replied with a thumbs up emoji. A thumbs up. I whispered to myself, "You've got to be kidding me." Behind me, the nurse spoke again. "Daniel, is everything okay?" I turned the phone screen toward her. "Look at this," I said quietly. She read the message. Her face fell. "Oh, Daniel." I laughed softly. Not a happy laugh. More like something breaking. "They picked the wedding," I said. The nurse didn't know what to say. I looked back at the screen. More photos appeared. Lucas kissing his bride. My parents standing beside them. Everyone smiling. I whispered that they didn't even come to see if I was alive. The nurse stepped closer. "Your family might not understand how serious this was," she said carefully. "They knew," I replied. "How can you be sure?" I held up the phone again. "They literally said I might die." She sighed. "That's terrible." I leaned against the railing, staring at the dark city below. For years, I had tried to win their approval. "Why can't you be more like Lucas?" my father used to say. Lucas the charming one. Lucas the successful one. Lucas the favorite. And me? Just Daniel. The backup son. I looked at the wedding photos again. "Guess he wins again," I murmured. The nurse crossed her arms. "You're still alive," she said firmly. "Barely. But you are." I didn't respond. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the group chat. My sister Sophie wrote, "Best night ever." A string of heart emojis followed. I whispered, "Best night ever." My chest felt hollow. I typed one more message. "Hey, everyone." No reply. 30 seconds passed. Then my aunt replied, "Daniel, shouldn't you be resting?" That was it. No concern. No questions. Just annoyance. I stared at the screen. Then I locked the phone. The nurse watched me quietly. "What are you thinking?" she asked. I looked out at the city lights. For the first time in my life, something inside me felt clear. "They chose him," I said. "Daniel." "No," I interrupted softly. "It's okay." She frowned. "It doesn't sound okay." I took a slow breath. Pain shot through my ribs. But something else was rising inside me too. Not sadness. Not anger. Something colder. "I spent my whole life trying to matter to them," I said. The nurse stayed silent. I looked down at my bandaged hands. But tonight, I whispered, I finally understand something. What's that? She asked. I turned toward the hospital room where the machines kept beeping. They already buried me. The nurse shook her head. You're not dead. I gave a small smile. No, I said quietly. But the man they ignored tonight? I looked at the dark sky above the city. He is. The machines behind me beeped steadily as I made a silent promise to myself. If I survived this night, I would never be the same man again. I lay in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. The machines beeped beside me. My body hurt, but my mind hurt more. I whispered to the empty room. Why was it always Lucas? No one answered. The quiet pulled memories out of me, whether I wanted them or not. I remember being 16, sitting at the dinner table. My father looked at my report card and frowned. A minus, he said. I tried to smile. It was the hardest math class in school. Lucas leaned back in his chair and laughed. Relax, Uncle Robert, he said. I barely passed mine. My father chuckled. Lucas, you always joke, he replied. Then he turned to me again. Daniel, you need to try harder. I remember staring at him. Try harder? I said quietly. Lucas shrugged. Don't look so serious, cousin. My mother Elaine added softly. Lucas just has natural talent. I asked her, what about me? She didn't answer. The memory shifted. Another dinner. Another comparison. Lucas walked into the house wearing a new jacket. My grandfather Henry clapped his hands. Lucas, my boy, he said proudly. Look what I bought, Lucas said, spinning around. Stylish. Grandpa laughed. I walked in carrying a stack of books. Hey, Grandpa, I said. He glanced at me. Oh, hello, Daniel. Lucas grinned at me. Studying again? Yeah. He shook his head. You worry too much. Grandpa pointed at Lucas. This one knows how to live. I sat down quietly. Lucas leaned toward me. You know what your problem is? He whispered. What? You try too hard to impress people. I looked at him. And you don't. He smiled. I don't need to. The hospital machine beeped again, pulling me back to the present. I sighed. Yeah, I muttered. You never did. Another memory rose. I was 22, working late in the family office. Stacks of papers covered the desk. Lucas walked in holding a coffee. Still here, he asked. Someone has to finish the reports. He dropped into a chair. You take this stuff way too seriously. It's the company. He waved a hand. Relax. Dad will fix everything. I looked up. Your dad? Same difference. I shook my head. You skipped work all week. And doesn't that bother you? Lucas grinned. Not really. The office door opened. My father walked in. Lucas, he said happily. Hey, Uncle Robert. My father looked at me. Daniel, why are these numbers wrong? I blinked. They're not wrong. Lucas stood up. Don't worry about it, he said. Daniel loves fixing things. My father sighed. Lucas, you should learn from him. Lucas smirked. See? I'm the inspiration. I stared at them. Did either of you actually read the report? My father waved his hand. Just fix it. Lucas patted my shoulder. Good luck, cousin. The memory faded. I whispered to myself. It was always like that. Another voice echoed in my mind. Ethan Brooks, my best friend growing up. We were sitting on a park bench after school. He looked at my house across the street. Can I ask you something? Ethan said, Sure. Why do they treat Lucas like a prince? I shrugged. I don't know. Ethan shook his head. Man, it's weird. What is? They treat you like a stranger in your own house. I laughed nervously. That's not true. He looked at me carefully. Daniel. What? You do everything for them. So, and they barely notice. I didn't reply. Ethan leaned closer. Doesn't that bother you? I looked away. They're my family. He sighed. You deserve better. Back in the hospital room, I whispered, maybe you were right. The door creaked open. The nurse stepped in. You're awake again? Yeah. You should sleep. I keep remembering things. She pulled a chair closer. Good memories? I laughed softly. Not really. She studied my face. Family problems? You could say that. She asked quietly. Do they usually ignore you like this? I looked at the ceiling again. Pretty much. That must hurt. It used to, and now. I took a slow breath. Now I'm just tired. She nodded slowly. You know, she said, sometimes people don't value what they already have. I turned my head toward her. Yeah. Until it's gone. I closed my eyes. That's the story of my life. She stood up. Try to rest. Before leaving, she asked one last question. Daniel, what will you do when you leave this hospital? I stared at the ceiling again. For years I had chased their approval. Worked harder. Studied longer. Helped more. And it never mattered. Lucas could fail 10 times and still be praised. I could succeed once and still be invisible. I whispered into the quiet room. I think I'm done begging. The nurse paused at the door. Begging for what? I opened my eyes slowly. For love they never planned to give. The hospital room felt colder than usual that morning. Machines beeped steadily, but the silence between them felt heavier. I was staring at the ceiling, thinking about the wedding photos again, when the door opened. A man walked in, tall, with a sharp suit and even sharper eyes. He didn't smile, but there was a calm authority about him. Daniel Carter? He asked. I blinked. Yes, do I know you? He shook his head slightly. Not yet. My name is Victor Hale. I tried to place it. The name sounded familiar, but I couldn't remember from where. I heard about your accident, he said quietly. You're lucky to be alive. I scoffed. Lucky? You have no idea. Victor ignored the remark and stepped closer. Do you remember a college internship you did 5 years ago? One where you proposed a new project idea for my investment company. I frowned. I think so. Was it the one about streamlining the financial software? Yes, he said. That idea saved my company from bankruptcy. I stared at him. Wait, you're Victor Hale? The Victor Hale? He nodded. The same. I swallowed hard. You came here because of me? He leaned against the desk. Not because of you. Because of what you did. You showed potential I don't usually see in young men. I shook my head. I don't understand. Why now? Because you need help, he said. You survived an accident that should have ended you. And your family clearly doesn't see your value. I felt my chest tighten. How did you? Victor held up a hand. I don't ask questions about personal matters. I offer solutions. I laughed bitterly. Solutions? My life is a mess. My family abandoned me. My cousin's wedding. I was in the hospital alone while they celebrated him. He looked at me calmly. That's exactly why I came. You're a man who has been ignored and underestimated. I can help you change that. I shook my head. I don't even know where to start. I'm weak, broken, and tired. Victor's eyes softened just a fraction. I can teach you. Mentorship, training, a new life far away from the people who failed you. You'll learn how to run a company, lead a team, and make decisions that matter. I swallowed. You're offering what exactly? An opportunity, he said, to rebuild, to rise, to take control of your own life instead of waiting for approval that never comes. I looked down at my hands, bandaged and trembling. The idea sounded impossible. And if I refuse? I asked quietly. You stay here, he said, alone, invisible, like you've always been. The weight of his words hit me harder than any pain in my ribs. I thought of the wedding photos again. The laughter, the smiles, the champagne glasses raised while no one even glanced at me. I closed my eyes. No one is coming for me. I whispered. Victor leaned closer. Then I am. I opened my eyes and looked at him. For the first time in years, someone believed in me. You'd really take me under your wing? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He nodded. Yes, but only if you want it. This will not be easy. You will have to work harder than you've ever worked before. I swallowed. The thought of leaving my past behind terrified me, but it also felt like the only way forward. I took a deep breath. And if I succeed? I asked. You'll finally be seen, he said. Not as the boy they ignored, but as the man you're meant to be. I stared at the ceiling for a moment, then at him again. I want it, I said slowly. Victor nodded. Good. Then it begins the moment you're ready to leave this hospital. I felt a strange mix of fear and hope. Where do I start? I asked. First, he said, you rest. Then you learn. Then you rise. I looked at him, my heart pounding. Okay, I whispered. Yes, I'll do it. He smiled faintly. Welcome to the start of your life, Daniel Carter. And for the first time in years, I believed it could be real. The first day Victor brought me to his office, I felt like a stranger in a new world. Daniel, look at this spreadsheet, he said, sliding it across the table. Tell me what's wrong with it. I frowned. The projections don't account for market fluctuations. Good, he said. Most people wouldn't see that. Most people wouldn't even notice. I blinked. You really think I have potential? He leaned back, steepling his fingers. Potential? Daniel, you have power. You just don't know it yet. That's when he introduced me to Olivia Bennett. Daniel, Victor said, this is Olivia. She will guide you through the day-to-day until you catch up to the world you're about to conquer. Olivia extended her hand. Welcome aboard. You'll need guidance, but I think you're going to surprise yourself. I shook her hand, hesitant. I hope so. She smiled. Hope isn't enough. You'll need work. Every day. No excuses. Every day. I asked, staring at the stacks of files on the desk. Yes, she said simply. If you want to rise, you start here. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. I learned to read financial reports, manage teams, and make decisions that affected millions of dollars. Victor never let me slack. Daniel, he said one afternoon, pain can break you, or it can sharpen you. Which will it be? I swallowed. I wanted to sharpen me. He nodded. Then stop thinking like the boy they ignored. Start thinking like the man you're meant to be. Olivia often reminded me of things I didn't want to hear. You think too little of yourself, she said once as we reviewed a marketing proposal. You aim for safe. Stop aiming for safe. Aim for dominance. I'm not ready for that, I muttered. You never will be ready, she replied sharply. But readiness doesn't matter. Action does. I work day and night, often skipping meals or sleep. Daniel, slow down, Olivia warned one evening. Even the strongest man can burn out. I don't have time to slow down, I said. I missed 5 years of life already. Victor watched me from across the room. Good, he said quietly. Use that hunger. Let it fuel you. Let it drive you past the limits you never thought you could reach. And slowly I began to change. The man I saw in a mirror no longer looked weak or ignored. One afternoon, Victor called me in his office. Sit, he said. I have news. I hesitated. News? Victor leaned forward. I've made a decision. Hale Industries is going to appoint you as the next CEO. I blinked. Me? Are you serious? Yes, he said firmly. You've earned it. You've worked harder than anyone. You've learned. You've survived. I swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he replied. Say yes and step into your life. I looked at Olivia. She gave me a small, proud smile. Yes, I whispered finally. I'll do it. Victor nodded. Good. Now you're no longer the boy they ignored. You're the man they will have to respect. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride, power, and purpose. For the first time, I knew I had been chosen. And I thought of my family, the ones who ignored me at my lowest. They had no idea who I was becoming. Not yet, but soon they would see. And when they did, they would have to face the man they never valued. I clenched my fists, feeling the weight of those years finally turn into strength. Victor leaned back, watching me. This is only the beginning, he said. I smiled faintly. Then let it begin. The black car rolled to a stop in front of the Carter Family Company headquarters. I stepped out, adjusting my jacket. Olivia stepped beside me. Ready? She asked. I nodded, swallowing the nervous knot in my chest. As ready as I'll ever be. She smirked. Good. Just remember, you're not the boy they ignored anymore. I took a deep breath and walked toward the glass doors. Inside, the lobby looked exactly the same. Polished marble, grand chandelier, the smell of expensive coffee. Everything was familiar. Everything felt small. And then I saw him. My father, Robert Carter. He froze mid-step, papers in his hand. His eyes widened. Daniel, he whispered. I kept walking. My shoes clicked against the marble. I thought you were, he stammered. Alive, I said calmly. He didn't know what to say. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Lucas appeared from behind him. His confident grin faltered the moment he saw me. Well, look who came back from the dead, he said, trying to sound casual. I raised an eyebrow. Funny. I was about to say the same thing. Lucas laughed nervously. I didn't expect you to, survive. I survived, I replied. And I'm here now. My father shifted uncomfortably. Daniel, this is unexpected. I imagine it is, I said smoothly, taking a step closer. Do you remember the night of my accident? He blinked. Of course you do, I interrupted. You were too busy celebrating Lucas's wedding to check on me. Lucas laughed, but it was forced. Come on, Daniel, that was years ago. You're here now. Let's talk business. Business? I repeated, voice calm but sharp. Funny, you're about to need me for business. My father's brow furrowed. Daniel, what do you mean? I looked at him slowly. Hale Industries. My company. Your investors are counting on me. They've been waiting for my approval. Lucas's face drained of color. Wait, you mean? Yes, I said simply. The company that saved me, trained me, made me CEO, they decide whether your struggling company survives. My father opened his mouth, then shut it. He swallowed. Lucas took a step forward. You're bluffing. I shook my head. No bluffing, Lucas. I'm very real. And I'm very busy. The receptionist peeked from behind her desk. Is everything okay? I ignored her. My gaze stayed on my family. You've changed, my father finally muttered. Daniel, I didn't realize. I smiled faintly. 5 years. That's all it took. Lucas's confidence wavered. And you're serious about this? Completely, I replied. You've built a company. I've built a company. Now, your survival depends on me. He swallowed hard. I didn't expect. You never did, I said quietly. But now you have to deal with it. My father stepped closer, lowering his voice. Daniel, I know things were difficult, but difficult. I echoed. Do you think I forgot the night I was abandoned? The hospital room, the wedding photos? His eyes flicked down. Daniel, I lifted a hand. Save your excuses. They don't matter anymore. Lucas tried one last laugh. Well, you certainly look different. Yes, I said, meeting his eyes. I'm different, and that difference will decide your fate. The silence stretched. My heart pounded, but I kept my expression calm. Olivia whispered beside me. Time to make them realize who they ignored. I nodded slightly. Yes, they're about to learn. I took a step forward. Let's talk business. And remember, I hold all the cards now. My father swallowed again. Daniel, I interrupted. No, you listen. You need me, and I'm here. But don't forget, I wasn't here for your approval. I'm here to see justice done. Lucas glanced at my father, then back at me. You really became someone else. I smiled faintly. Exactly. And the boy you ignored? He's gone. The room went quiet, and for the first time in years, they weren't laughing. I simply looked at them. Calm, strong, ready. And I knew everything was about to change. I sat across from them, my hands folded calmly on the table. The room smelled faintly of coffee and old wood. My family's eyes darted around, searching for control, but this time it wasn't theirs. My mother, Elaine, suddenly spoke, voice trembling. We thought you were gone. I almost laughed. Gone, I said softly, letting the word linger. You didn't even visit the hospital. She flinched. We thought. Thought what? I interrupted gently. That I'd disappear quietly? That my absence wouldn't matter? Lucas leaned forward, trying to force a grin. Daniel, this is awkward, but we should focus on business. I raised an eyebrow. Business? Funny. You're the ones begging for help now, Lucas. His confident laugh faltered. We need investors. Things aren't going well. I nodded slowly. Yes, I know. And you need me to approve your biggest deal. My father, Robert, leaned forward, eyes wide. Daniel, we need you. I felt a strange warmth at hearing those words, but it wasn't satisfaction. Not really. You need me, I repeated, voice calm. Not the other way around. My mother swallowed, tears forming. We didn't know how much. You didn't know? I said softly. You had 5 years to notice. 5 years to check on me, call me, care for me. And yet, I let the silence stretch. Nothing. Lucas tried again. Daniel, please don't make this personal. We just need your approval for the deal. It's critical. I leaned back, studying him. Critical? It's critical for you. For me, it's optional. My father's jaw tightened. We're serious, Daniel. Your experience, your connections, they could save us. Save you, I echoed. After all the nights I spent alone while you celebrated Lucas? After all the times I tried to matter to you and failed? Now you want me to save you? Elaine's hands trembled on the table. I don't need your excuses, I interrupted. I don't need your apologies. I don't need your pity. Lucas shifted uncomfortably. So you'll just say no? I shook my head. Not no, but you will do what I say. You will follow my terms. You will respect my decisions. And you will learn that I am not the boy you ignored. My father's voice cracked. Daniel, we truly need you. We can't. You needed me when? I asked quietly. When I was in the hospital alone. When I survived your neglect. When I waited for you to show up, and you didn't. Silence fell over the room. Lucas swallowed, his face pale. I leaned forward, voice steady. I am here now. I can help you. But understand this. I am not here to rebuild your pride. I am here to see results. And I don't need you anymore. Elaine's eyes filled with tears. Daniel, please. I shook my head. No. You only understand when it matters to me. And now it does. I am in control. You are asking for mercy, for guidance, for support. And that is my choice to give. Lucas' lips parted, trying to protest. Save it, I said. I've waited years for this moment. You will listen. You will act. And you will realize that the boy you ignored is gone. My father exhaled sharply. We understand. I smiled faintly, a cold but calm smile. Good. That's all I needed you to understand. For the first time, I felt it clearly. I didn't need them. I never did. And yet, I could give them everything, if I chose to. And that choice was mine alone. I sat at the head of the conference table, Olivia beside me, reviewing the quarterly reports. My family shifted nervously around the room. Daniel, what exactly are we looking at? My father asked, voice tight. Olivia leaned forward. Something unusual. The numbers don't add up. Lucas scoffed. Unusual? You're reading too much into it. I tilted my head. Go on, Olivia. Show us. She tapped a few keys. Look at these transfers. Small amounts over years. Hidden accounts. Lucas, care to explain? Lucas' confident smile faltered. I don't know what you're talking about. You've been embezzling money, Olivia said firmly. From your own company. My father's face turned red. You ruined this company, he shouted, slamming a fist on the table. I leaned back in my chair, watching him struggle. Lucas, do you have an explanation? He stammered. It's not. I didn't mean. You didn't mean? I repeated. Where you thought no one would ever notice? My mother Elaine gasped. Lucas, how could you? I didn't take much, he yelled. Just enough to cover personal expenses. Personal expenses? I echoed. You destroyed the company for personal gain. Investors are leaving. Debts are rising. You risked everything. Lucas' hands shook. This isn't real. You're exaggerating. Olivia's voice cut through. The evidence is here. Every transaction. Every diversion of funds. Daniel found it because I couldn't trust anyone else to be thorough. He turned toward me, eyes blazing. This is your fault. You're the reason they're digging into everything. I sat calmly. Lucas, this is entirely your fault. Every decision, every choice you made led us here. His face twisted. You're enjoying this. I shook my head slowly. No, I'm observing. For years, you took everything from me. Attention, respect, approval. You thought you were untouchable. His lips curled in anger. I never asked for your approval. You never needed it because everyone else did. I said softly. Except me. I watched you take everything while I waited for scraps of recognition. He started pacing. I can fix this. I'll return the money. Too late, Olivia said. The damage is done. Investors are pulling out. Contracts are voided. The board wants a full audit immediately. My father groaned. Lucas, what have you done? Lucas' panic escalated. You're all against me. This isn't fair. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. Fair doesn't exist in life, Lucas. You've been getting away with lies for years. Now reality has caught up with you. He slammed his hands on the table. I trusted you. You were supposed to protect me. I raised an eyebrow. Protect you? From yourself? I warned you before. I gave you guidance. You ignored it. My own brother? He shouted. You were never my brother, I said coldly. Not the way I needed. Not the way a family should be. He turned to my father. Dad, Daniel, he's taking pleasure in this. I shook my head. I'm not taking pleasure. I'm watching justice happen. You spent years taking from everyone else. Now the consequences are yours. Lucas sank into his chair, defeated, breathing heavily. His perfect image had shattered. My father buried his face in his hands. I can't believe this. Olivia leaned closer to me, whispering, "Karma works fast, doesn't it?" I nodded. "It does." And I didn't have to lift a finger. Lucas looked at me one last time, hatred in his eyes. "You'll regret this, Daniel." I smiled faintly. "Regret is yours, Lucas, not mine." And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. For once, the boy they ignored was finally the one watching the chaos unfold. Justice wasn't just a word anymore. It was real, and it had already begun. The phone kept buzzing, but I didn't answer it immediately. Olivia glanced at me. "It's them again." I shook my head. "Let them call. They've had 5 years to notice me. Now, they finally do." The news had spread fast. Lucas's embezzlement scandal destroyed the Carter family business. Investors pulled out, debts piled up, and their reputation crumbled. I heard my father's voice over the phone once, panicked. "Daniel, please." I didn't respond. A few days later, my mother arrived at Hale Industries. She walked hesitantly into my office. "Daniel," she whispered, voice trembling. I looked up calm. "Hello, Mother." She swallowed. Tears filled her eyes. We should have chosen you. From the start." I leaned back in my chair. "Should have chosen me?" I repeated softly. "Do you even realize what that means?" She shook her head, sobbing quietly. I didn't know. We didn't understand how much we hurt you." I studied her. 5 years. That's how long I waited. 5 years of being invisible, ignored, abandoned. One apology doesn't erase that. She reached out, trembling. "Daniel, please forgive us. We were wrong. I held up my hand. "No, I don't need forgiveness. Not from you. Not from anyone who didn't care when it mattered." Olivia stepped beside me quietly. "You've built your life now, Daniel. Don't let them pull you back." I nodded. "Exactly. I have a life full of people who respect me. Victor, Olivia, my team. They've been there from the beginning. They chose me." My mother's face crumpled. "We didn't choose right, and now it's too late." "I know," I said quietly. "You can't erase years of neglect with a single visit. You can't reclaim what you ignored. You can only live with it." Lucas had tried calling as well, but I ignored every attempt. His hatred had turned inward. Karma had done its work. My father fell silent for a moment. "Daniel, we don't deserve this. I cut him off. "No, this isn't about deserving. This is about reality. You had your chances. You failed. I survived without you. And now I thrive without you." She wiped her tears, voice barely audible. "Daniel, please, at least let us try to make amends." I shook my head slowly. "Amends? What amends could repair what you broke? You can't reclaim the years you chose to ignore me. You can't fix what you abandoned." Olivia placed a hand on my shoulder. "Time to focus on the people who matter." I looked around the office at my team. They had stayed, worked, believed in me. Every victory we achieved, every deal we closed, it was real. I turned back to my mother. "I'm happy for you to acknowledge your mistakes. That's enough. But don't expect anything else. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt." Her lips trembled. "I understand, Daniel. Truly." I stood up, calm and unshaken. "Good. Now leave me to my life. You've had your chance, and I've had mine." She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face, and left. The office was quiet. Olivia smiled. "Well done." I leaned back in my chair, finally at peace. Years of waiting, and it's finally over. Victor appeared behind me, nodding. "You've done more than survive. You've conquered, Daniel. The past doesn't define you anymore." I smiled faintly. "No, Victor. It never did. I defined me, and that's enough." Outside the window, the city buzzed with life, but I felt calm, in control, untouchable. The family who once ignored me had their regrets. But I had my power, my life, and my peace. Some bridges, once burned, really can never be rebuilt. And for the first time in years, that felt liberating. I stepped onto the rooftop of Hale Industries, the city sprawling beneath me like a living map. The wind tugged at my jacket, but I felt steady, anchored in a way I never had before. Victor appeared beside me quietly. "You wanted to be alone?" he asked, voice calm. I shook my head. "No, I wanted perspective." He studied me for a moment. "Perspective or reflection?" Both, I said softly, eyes tracing the horizon. I'm thinking about everything I lost and everything I gained. Victor leaned against the railing. Do you regret anything? I paused. The question echoed inside me. The boy who once waited alone in a hospital room flashed before my mind. Weak, invisible, desperate for a family that never came. No, I said finally firm. I don't regret anything. He raised an eyebrow. Even them? Your family. I glanced at the distant lights of the city where they lived. Even them. Losing them forced me to find myself, to realize my own strength, to understand that I don't need anyone's approval to exist, to thrive, to lead. Victor nodded slowly. And Lucas? I smiled faintly. He lost everything. His choices caught up with him. Karma did what I couldn't, or wouldn't do. I didn't have to lift a finger. He fell because he built himself on lies. Victor's eyes met mine. And your parents? They lost their company, I said quietly. They finally understand what they threw away. But understanding isn't the same as reclaiming what was lost. And it's too late for that. The wind gusted again, lifting my hair. I felt lighter than I had in years, like a weight I didn't know I carried had finally been released. Victor's voice broke my thoughts. And you? What have you gained? Freedom, I said immediately. Freedom to live my own life, to define myself without anyone else's approval. Freedom to make choices that matter to me, not to please or survive for others. He nodded. That's rare. Most people never reach that point. I turned to him, meeting his calm, steady gaze. I survived 5 years of neglect, betrayal, and doubt. I became someone I didn't even know existed. Someone strong, capable, and unshakable. And it's only the beginning. Victor smiled faintly. Good. That's exactly what I wanted you to understand. I looked down at the city again, the streets glowing like veins of life, each window a story, each light a moment in someone else's existence. I had spent so long waiting for others to notice me. Now I notice myself. Do you ever miss being the boy I was? Victor asked quietly. I shook my head. No, that boy needed people who never came. This man, I need no one to define him. I only need myself. Victor placed a hand briefly on my shoulder. Then you've truly arrived. I smiled faintly. Arrived, yes, but not finished. There's more to do, more to build, more to live. And I will. The skyline stretched endlessly, glittering with opportunity. My past lay behind me, burned into lessons, but untouchable. My future lay ahead, wide open, waiting for me to claim it. Do you ever think about revenge? Victor asked softly. I shook my head again. Revenge is nothing compared to freedom. That's what I wanted all along. Victor nodded. Then you're ready for anything. I took a deep breath, feeling the wind fill my lungs. The boy I had been was gone. The man I had become stood strong, unshaken, and alive. This is my life now, I whispered to the night. And it's mine to write. Victor stepped back, leaving me to the view. I looked over the city once more, and for the first time, I felt complete. The man they ignored. The boy who survived. The one who became unstoppable. I was finally living my story, and that story had only just begun.